Okay, everyone, this is the English 11 ESL with Paige and Matthews recording for Tuesday, August 18th. Remember, the first thing you need to do each day is log into Canvas and click the button for agendas so you can see the screen and see what we are doing each day. Also, for now, I am not doing live Google Meets. That could change. I'm kind of waiting to see what admin says about that. But for now, you can just watch this recording at any time during the day so you can get your assignments done. Let's start with the homework and reminders. Remember, you need to complete the back to school information form that is in the back to school module in Canvas, and I will show you that a little later in this recording. That way you know exactly what you're looking for. And then the inferences worksheet that we are going to do today, if you do not finish it in class or since you're at home, it needs to be turned in by Thursday. So those are your assignments, and today we are going to take notes on inferences. There's a presentation and there are notes. This is linked for you in Canvas, and again, I will show you where that is. We're going to read a story that doesn't have any words. It's just a bunch of pictures. I will tell you more about that assignment. Complete the graphic organizer, and then do the inferences worksheet. The inferences worksheet is your first grade for this class. So today's lesson is all about making inferences, and we're going to talk about what inferences are and how we make them. So if you were in Canvas, let me log in here, and you click the Modules tab, the Back to School form, the information form is this form right here under Back to School. Notice these assignments are gray, which means you do not have access to them, which is fine. It's for another class, but you need to complete this information form. And today we are in Unit 1. That's the first thing for Unit 1. And so all the links are right here under RL 11.1. All the links for everything will be right there. And then the assignment that goes with this lesson is underneath it. It's called Making Inferences. If you have trouble finding something, please email me. It is helpful if you can include a screenshot, but again, you do not have to. So we are going to get started with the inferences presentation. Your notes are here in this first tab, the digital notes right here. It will force you to make a copy of it, and we can talk about organizing your notes a little bit later. Let's just do it now. If you click this link, oh, never mind. It's not working. I'll show it to you in a little bit. I'm not sure why it's not working. I'll fix it before class starts. But the PowerPoint is right here. You should have access to view that. The notes are there, and I will show you how to organize them later. So let's get started with making inferences. Today, we are just doing part 1 of this presentation. So you can ignore part 2, which means on your digital notes, you are only doing the first page. The second page is for class on Thursday. This skill is all about making inferences and selecting evidence. And today we are talking about explicit and implicit information and making inferences. The standard, and this is fill in the blank on your notes, is I can identify explicit and implicit information in a text and make inferences from a text. We are going to talk about what each of those words mean momentarily, but this goes in the top box in your notes where it says standard. So I can identify explicit and implicit information in a text and make inferences from a text. So let's talk about the difference between explicit and implicit information. Explicit information is obvious and will be stated directly in the text. So this is the definition of explicit. It is obvious and will be stated directly in the text. So you might be reading your story and it might say, Gatsby was excited to go see Daisy. We know exactly how Gatsby feels because it tells us that he was excited. Implicit information is implied, and you have to figure it out using your brain. So, in other words, if we're looking at that sentence with Gatsby and Gatsby being excited to go see Daisy, it could say something about Gatsby's heart fluttered and he grinned on his way to see Daisy. Based on when your heart flutters or speeds up and you're grinning from ear to ear, how do you usually feel? You feel excited or in love or happy, and that's how Gatsby feels when he goes to see Daisy. So these are your definitions right here. Goes in that first section of your digital notes. Okay, this is also it's like an iceberg. So explicit is what you can see. It's what the iceberg that is on top of the water. It's exactly what you can see. Implicit is the stuff you cannot see, but we know that if there's an iceberg on top of the water, there is stuff underneath. We know that, but we have to use our brains to figure it out. Inferences, okay? This goes in the left-hand column. When we make an inference, we are making a guess using information from the text and information from our brain and coming to a conclusion. So if we think about our example of Gatsby having butterflies and grinning from ear to ear, we are making a guess because we know that when we have butterflies and our heart flutters that we are excited and happy. And when you smile, it means you're happy. So therefore, we can make a good guess that Gatsby was happy. Mystery stories do this a lot. They give you little clues here and there, and you have to guess how it is going to end. Here's an example. Jose was so angry. Is this implicit or explicit? Yes, it's explicit because the text directly says that Jose was angry. You know it right there. It says right there that he was angry. It's stated there. You can point to it. So explicit is something you can point to. What about Veronica's face was red and you could almost see the steam coming from her ears? Very good. This is implicit. You can infer, which means we're coming to a conclusion, that she is angry because when someone's face turns really red and steam is coming from their ears, they are angry. So the reason we use implicit language is writers do this to show us what's happening by describing and giving us clues. This information goes in the left-hand column of your notes. This makes the story more interesting. If I was just reading a story, I'll use my name for example, and it said, Megan woke up. She was very tired because she did not sleep well. She made a muffin for breakfast and got in the car quickly so that she wasn't late. That's kind of boring, right? It tells you exactly what is going on. But if I said, when the alarm went off, Megan looked at it and jumped out of bed. She wasn't sure if she would be on time. She looked in the mirror and she had dark circles under her eyes and let out a big yawn. She rushed to the kitchen to grab a muffin and got in the car as quickly as she could, praying that she would be to school on time. Okay, that second story is much more interesting. It tells you the same things, but it's more interesting. We have more details, and based on how that story is going, you can probably guess that Megan overslept for school and she was going to be late. She didn't sleep well because she has dark circles under her eyes and doesn't look rested. There are lots of things you can tell from those few sentences, but it makes it a lot more interesting. And because you have clues, you can figure out what is going on. So, in summary, this is the very bottom section of your notes. Explicit information should be obvious. Okay, it should be something you can point to directly. But implicit information will require me or you as the student to make an inference or a guess based on clues presented in the text. So explicit information should be obvious, but implicit information will require me, the student, to make an inference or a guess based on the clues presented in the text. And that is all for part 1. Remember, we're not doing part 2 today. If I went too fast and you need to see more of this, you have access to this PowerPoint slide. You can click the link in Canvas, and remember, your notes are only about slides 1 through 10. Okay. So if you go back to Canvas, you should have a link right here that says Unspoken Storybook Pictures. So Unspoken is a book that I am going to show in class today, but it's an interesting book because there are no words. It is all pictures, and it's a story about the Underground Railroad. If you do not know what the Underground Railroad is, that's okay. I'm going to explain it to you. In the 1800s, during the Civil War, which you've probably learned about in history class, slaves tried to escape southern states and go north to earn their freedom. Okay? This was very hard to do. They had to do it in secret. You couldn't just advertise what you were doing. They usually traveled at night because it was dark, and that way they were less likely of a chance of being seen. But the Underground Railroad was a series of houses that were friendly to slaves trying to escape. So that means if the slave showed up at their house, they would be protected. A lot of times they would get food, and they weren't going to be turned in to the people looking for them. And this story is about a little girl who finds a slave and is kind to him or her. We don't know if it's a male or female slave. So that's what's going on. Okay. You will need to watch this video. Remember, there's no words to the story. It's just pictures. So you might have to watch it once or twice. After you watch it, you need to pick 2 of the pictures that you really liked and complete this digital graphic organizer right here. So if you click that link, it will force you to make a copy, but it should look something like this. To make it bigger, you're going to come over here to the magnifying glass, and you're going to click it once and then click the slide. And now it's big enough for you to type on. And then you're going to click this arrow right here so you can type. Okay, so you're going to pick 2 different pictures from the story. In this first box, you're going to type exactly what you see, not what you think, what you see. So if you look at the first picture, you see a little girl walking a cow through a pasture. She has a cat. There are men on horses near her. That's the sort of thing you would write here. You're going to type exactly what you see in the picture. Okay? And then in this I think box, you are going to type what you think is happening based on what you see. So this, I think, is sort of like you writing the story. You're going to tell me in 1 to 2 sentences, okay, which is capital letters, punctuation, what you think is going on. And then after that, after you've told me what you see, you've told me what you think is going on, you are going to describe your picture in a hashtag or two. So just like if you were posting this picture to Instagram or Snapchat and you wanted to put a hashtag on it, to give me 1 or 2 hashtags to describe this picture. Okay? And I know this is hard to do from the video. In class, I'm walking around and I'm showing all the pictures, but this is the best I can do for those of you who are at home. So you're going to do one of these slides for each picture. It doesn't matter which 2 pictures you do. I would do your 2 pictures that are your favorite. And then if you would, yes, that's what you're going to do there. Okay, so this just gets you practicing, telling me what you actually see, the explicit information, and then the I think. This is your inferences. What do you think is going on? This is implicit information. And then your assignment for class today is to complete that making inferences worksheet. But I want to show you this from student view. That way you know what exactly you're doing. So give me just a second to change my view on Canvas. Okay, so again, remember we're in modules, and you're going to click right here, this making inferences assignment. This is your first graded assignment in this class. So it says the instructions: complete the inferences worksheet, write in sentences, and make sure to capitalize the first letter and put punctuation at the end. You need to authorize Google. Scroll down to the bottom of the screen and hit the green authorize button. After that, the assignment should load. And if you want to make the assignment full screen, click the title in blue. So what you're going to do is you need to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and hit this greenish blue authorize button. Okay? I cannot do it in this view, but you can. Okay, so this will not work if you have not hit this button. So everyone needs to hit this button. And then once it is authorized, your assignment page should look like this. And remember, if you want to see this full screen, so it's a lot bigger, you click these words right here in blue, and it will load on the next page. So if you give it a chance, it will load, and you type directly on this. So you are going to look at this picture and answer the questions. Picture is loading. It's slow because I am at home. The internet's not that great. But when you are done, when you finish the assignment, you will have a submit button right up here. Okay, I do not have a submit button because I'm a teacher, but you will have a submit button, and you need to hit that submit button. And then underneath where it says making inferences, it will say submitted at, and it will give you a time. If that's how you know it was turned in. So nothing else changes. So as long as you have words underneath the title that say submitted at a day and time, then it has been turned in and I will be able to grade it. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. We will do part 2 of this lesson on Thursday, and then next week we are going to start some writing assignments. So you need to be prepared for that, and I hope that all of you have a fantastic day and that I get to meet you guys very soon.